Hi there. Walk cycles are hard. It's one of the hardest things to animate, and a lot of beginners don't know where to even start. Well, you're in luck today. Today I'm going to show you how to create a seriously next level walk cycle. We're going to be doing it in After Effects, and it's going to be lots of fun. You can find the source file in the description below. Come and join me and we're going to create a walk cycle that looks super next level. Hello beautiful people of the internet. Today I'm going to show you how to create this little funky animation of Mr. Ringo Starr, the famous drummer of the very famous Beatles. Now I've used Limber to animate this or to rig the character, but you can use anything. You can use Rubber Hose or Duke Angela or whatever you want to. You can even follow along in a 3D package such as Blender or Cinema 4D if you want to. The principles are all the same. And yes, enjoy it. And if you like this, like and subscribe. Thank you. So now we've got Mr. Ringo Starr here, and he needs to go into the studio to go and record some drums. And we need to get him walking. Let me just show you quickly how I set this up. If you go here to composition settings, you'll see it's set to 24 frames per second, which is the easiest way to animate walk cycles or most character animation work because of the way you can divide the frames into the right proportions. We'll see that later how that works. Then at the top here and at the bottom here, these two red rectangles are just guide layers. That's going to help us with posing the character. Then I've got a controller here in the middle, which is a null, and it's everything's parented to that. So you can see if we move that, this is like the body controller. Then I've used Limber to rig the legs and the arms. The legs are set to an FK and the arms are set to, the legs are set to IK and the arms are set to FK. If you want to learn more about FK and IK, I'll make a video in the future on how that works. So that's the basic setup. And also another thing I did is I used shy layers. So you see this funny little thing here that looks like an alien? All you do is you go here and you go through all of your layers and then you click the button until it disappears there. And then you click that one there and it shies all the other layers, the ones that's been selected. So you can only, it just makes it easier. It gives you more screen real estate and makes everything a bit more cleaner. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some references. This is the most important thing when you're animating. You should always be looking at references. And I got this from my good friends at School of Motion, and this actually comes from the Animator Survival Kit. It is a book that you need to have if you're an animator. You definitely need this book. And this just basically breaks down what a walk cycle looks like. And it's actually not that difficult to remember because there's only 4 poses that you need to remember. There's a contact pose, and then there's the down pose where the character goes down a bit. Then it's a passing pose where he goes up, and then there's the up pose where he's at his highest, and then you're back to the contact pose, and then everything happens on the other side. So that's all you need to remember is this: contact, down, passing, up. That's the only things. Let's go back to After Effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out the character. What that basically means is I'm going to create hold keyframes just to get the basic shape right. So let's start with the contact pose. Let's start with the body controller first, and then we're going to move down. So I'm just going to put a keyframe here on the Y. Click that, right click, and then toggle hold. Then I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 frames forward. Bring him down. This is the down pose. And then 1, 2, 3. And then we move him slightly, just a touch higher than that line there. And this would give us the passing pose. And then 1, 2, 3. and up again. And this is, now we've got the up pose. And then 1, 2, 3. And this is where the first part of the walk cycle ends. So all you can do now is press Control C, copy that keyframe, Control V, hold it in there, Control V, and then press the N key. You can see I've got a work frame set up here. Usually what I do is I go about a second in. I don't start at the beginning, because you'll see later we're going to offset things. So this is just going to keep it easier. So the way to do this is you press the B key to set the beginning, and then the N key. So for now, we're only going to work with the first 12 frames. Okay, now let's work on these feet. Okay, we go to the front ankle, and then we move that out like that, put a keyframe, and let's also put a keyframe on the Y, and then click on this controller, press R, and then for rotation. If you want to see all the keyframes that's currently being animated on the particular parameter, press U, then you can see everything. Now I'm going to select these 3 and toggle hold them. Okay, excellent. Now let's do the same for the back foot. Find the back ankle here. Okay, press P for position. Keyframe both of them. R for rotation, and then U so we can see all of them. Select them all. Right click. Toggle hold. Okay. Now let's work. Let's put this into perspective. Let's work on this now. So we're going to be referencing our walk cycle guide. So the first thing we need to do is this front foot is in front there, and then we just rotate it up so the ankle so it aligns with the leg. I think this one I can move it out slightly more. Okay, then for the back foot, we're going to take the X and move it back and rotate it down, and then bring the X up slightly. So we're just referencing the walk cycle from the animator survival guide. So that's the what it's basically going to look like for the first one. Then we go to the down pose, and now for the front ankle, we go to rotation, make it 0, because now the foot is flat on the ground, and it moves back until it is something like this. Like I said, just reference your reference. Okay, then I put a Y on here, and then for the back ankle, we're going to move it up slightly, turn it down like this, and just put a keyframe there. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that's the down pose. Now for the passing pose, this foot needs to be straight under the character here. So we go to X, move it down there. And for the other ones, we don't need to change anything, but we put keyframes anyway. Then now for the back ankle, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up a bit more, just slightly, and move it in. Like so. And then we just put like another keyframe on the rotation. And then for the last one, all we do now is we move the front foot back in space, bring it up slightly, because now it's starting to bend on the toe. And then we put it like that. And then for the back foot, bring it forward and just rotate it like this. And then we put a keyframe here. And let me show you a trick quickly, because now we need to get the second passing pose. So what you can do here, you take these 3 keyframes from the back ankle, copy them, and paste them on the front ankle. And then we do the opposite. So now we've got a basic blockout of the animation. Let's move on. Okay, what we're going to do now we're going to go into the second stage of the animation, where we're going to convert all of these keyframes to linear keyframes. This is called splining. So all you do is you select all of them, right click, and just press toggle hold. So this is going to turn everything into just basically linear keyframes. And this is what it looks like now. So let's work on the body controller. So we're going to select all of these and then click this graph editor here. Now we're going into the graph editor. First thing we're going to do is we're going to press everybody's favorite After Effects key, that everyone knows in their sleep, and it's called F9, which makes an easy ease. Okay, so what have we got here, and what can we do to change this? Okay, so you must remember, most of the characters, most of the emotion and character of a walk cycle comes from the up and down movement of the body. So this is a very, very important thing to get right. So what we want to do with this character is we want him to be quite energetic and happy. So we want to give him a sort of a bouncing ball feel. So the way we do this is when he goes down, we make it we bring these keyframes in, so it's fast, and we can align this one here as well. So we want him to be, it just touches the ground and then he goes up again. And then this one, we're actually going to delete that one because we don't need that. And then when he's up, we make these handles longer so he lingers a bit in the air. And then we've got this sort of bouncing movement. See, it looks very nice like that. And it gives it a lot of personality. So it's very important, if you work with the bounce, the up and down movement of your character. If you've got a character that's a heavy character, or someone who's sad, or someone who is lazy, then you're going to do the opposite. When he goes down, he's going to linger longer on the ground because he doesn't want to get up, and then when he gets up, he goes down again. But this character is just like a bouncing ball. He's a very happy guy because he is one of the best drummers, and he played in the best band that ever existed. So I don't see any reason for him not to be happy. I'm just making these a bit longer. You can also make this quite extreme if you want to, just to taste. I like to with this, I like to play quite a bit with the graph editor. So let's move on to the legs. Okay, let's go to the front. Now you can see here on the X position, this is a very, very important step. The horizontal movement of the legs should always be with a linear keyframe because you're moving at a constant speed. You don't want any easing on this because the character's feet are going to slide on the floor. So especially with this position where his foot moves back, where his foot's on the ground. And while we're talking about this, I know it's a bit confusing for people starting out how these walk cycles work, because the foot that goes back is actually just the foot that's standing still in motion. The body's going forward, and this foot is moving forward with that. The one that goes back is actually just in place. And the easiest way to remember this or visualize it is to liken it to someone walking on a treadmill. So the foot that goes back is, especially on that one, you don't want any easing. For the Y, we can just select them all and press F9 for an easy ease. There's usually not a lot of tweaking for the feet of the character, because it's a very mechanical movement. There sometimes is, it depends on the character, it depends on the situation, but for your normal vanilla walk cycle, there's not a lot of tweaking like that. So let's move on to the back ankle. And the back ankle is basically doing the foot going forward. So what we've got here, we've got it basically stands still here, the X, because he lifts his foot up at the back there. And then we've got the same thing. For this one, if you want, you can put easy ease, but I just for the sake of simplicity, I leave it like that. And then for the Y position, select all of them. Select all of them here. Box select F9. And it's just, for the rotation, we can also just press F9. And then for the back ankle R rotation, just select them all. You can press F9 here as well. So I've got that going. Okay, so another thing we want to do is when the front foot, when it goes down, you can see the foot makes contact, but I want to bring this forward a bit because the foot actually goes down. We can put it on the second one, either the second or the first one. So just before he goes into the down pose, the foot's already on the ground. Just makes it look a bit smoother. So that's the first half of the walk cycle for the feet and the body done. So how are we going to copy this over to the other side? Very, very easy. Okay, so all we're going to do, we're going to go to the second, press N, and then let's start with the body controller. We're just going to take all these keyframes, select them all, press C, go to frame 12, and just paste them there. So now we've got that loop going. Then for any loop, you always want to be, the first and the last keyframe should always be the same. That's the golden rule for any looping. Now it looks a bit weird, but we're going to sort that out. And then we go to the back ankle, press U so we can see all of them. And we select all of these and Control C, Control V. Now we need to work on the ones in the middle here. How are we going to fix this? Well, this is very easy. So we know this section is the same as that section because it's mirrored, and then this section is the same as that one. So we take these three, copy them, we go to the down position in the second part of the walk cycle, click here on front ankle and then just press V. And then we do the same on the other side. We select these. This one, let's actually do this. Select this from here because we've got that other keyframe where the foot goes down just before the down pose. So we can select all of these, press C, then go on to the back ankle and press V. So now we should have a perfect loop. Obviously, we can tweak it a bit more and make it look a bit more nicer, but for a first pass, this I think is fine. So now we're going to work on the arms, but before that, let's work on the hips. Now the hips it's very easy to do. We just go to the front hip, press P. Okay, now what I've got here, my positions are not separated. You always want to separate your positions, and that's very easy. Just right click and say separate dimensions. Now we put, for X, we're going to put a keyframe, and then when the leg is in front, we want the hip to be here, and as it moves back, the hip moves back as well. So we just move it back slightly, not too much. It's quite a subtle movement. And then we just copy that keyframe, select them, press easy ease, And then we go to the back hip, press P for position, separate dimensions. And now we can just copy these ones. So we're going to copy this one and this one, because remember, this walk cycle, this part of the walk cycle starts here. So we're going to go Control C and then just press that there. And then we copy that one just to close the loop. Okay, the only thing that's bothering me now is that when the feet move, you can see here they go into the red zone here. So basically what needs to happen here is the toes need to be on the floor and the ankle needs to be up. There's a few ways of fixing that. There's a hard way and there's an easy way. The hard way is you just basically go in and brute force go into the path and just key all the vertices. The easy way is you get a plugin called Bendio, which is about $30, and it's an amazing plugin. And it works like CC Bendit, but CC Bendit on steroids, and then we can just fix it like that. I'm going to show you how that plugin works. I've got it set up here on the feet, so let me start with this one here, the front foot. So basically we want to go down. Okay, it's on 0 there. I'm just going to put keyframes on every key position. And then as we get to the up pose here, we want the foot to bend like this. And then on the second contact, you can just put another keyframe. And then bend it a bit more here. And now we can take it back to 0. And then, as always, we just need to copy the first one. It's just good practice, is that your first and last keyframe should always be the same. And now this foot's looking great. Let's do the same to the other one. Okay, here we need to bend it because we're in a contact pose now. Put a keyframe, go up. In the down pose, we bend it even a bit more. And then as we go up, we make it 0. So it's quite important that you put keyframes on every key position. Otherwise, you've got something here that's a parameter, and then if you put nought, if I take this one out, it's going to interpolate over all these keyframes, and we don't want that. Okay, so now we're still on 0 here. On the next one, we're on 0. On this one, we're on 0. And then we can maybe bend them slightly here. And now we close the loop, like they say in programming. Let's see what that looks like. This is looking nice. I think we can move on to the arms. Okay, let's work on the arms. Okay, for the arms, we're going to use a basic FK setup, which is 99% of the time when you animate arms in a walk cycle, you want to use that. So we go here to the effects controls, and then on the front wrist, this is if you use Limber, but if you use something like Duik, I'm sure they've also got similar type of controls. So we're going to keyframe the upper FK rotation, which is the upper arm, and then the lower one, which is the elbow. And I'm just going to start here on the front wrist. So I just put 2 keyframes here, press U to see them all. And now I'm going to take the arm back, because if the front leg goes to the front, this arm goes to the back. Don't worry about that weird looking hand. We're going to fix that later. Then we go to the middle. Okay, I actually don't want it that far out. Just about that. Okay, and then we go to frame 12 in the middle. And we bring him over. And then just like always, Control C, Control V. And then we just press F9. And then for the elbow, I'm going to leave that one there on the beginning. And then when I get up here, I'm just going to move him up round about there. And then copy and paste. And then F9. Okay, now for the trick. The arms are at their widest point in the walk cycle when you're in the down position, but I keyframe them on the contact position. So now we have to move them up. But we need to tell After Effects that we want to loop it. And there is actually a nice expression for this. You can use loop in and loop out, but I found a nicer expression, and I'm very lazy, so I always try and do things the easiest way. I've actually got this thing installed here called K-bar. Literally, you just click on the parameter that you want an expression on, and it just puts it there for you. The one that I'm going to use is this one that I set up. It's called loop in and loop out. Basically what this does, it's basically a catch-all for any situation where you want to use loop in or loop out. So the expression is loop in and then the double brackets plus loop out, double brackets minus value. That's it. So now whenever you move something, if it's looped in, if it goes there, it loops from that side and from that side. So I just use that one. So I know I don't have to worry about when I move things around. If I move it this side or that side, I know it's going to catch it. So just let me just say it again as loop in with those double brackets plus loop out double brackets minus value. So now I've moved them up here to the frame where the contact poses, and now it's going to look correct if I play it. See, it's going to work, but we're going to make it better. So what we're going to do now is we're going to offset it. Now that we've got our loop function set up, let's take this one here and move it one keyframe ahead. So there's a bit of a delay when you get to the elbow. So it just looks a bit better. Okay. Now let's do the same for the other arm. So we go to front wrist. Now we go to back wrist. I'm just going to keyframe both of them so I can have access to them here. Press U to open it up. Just going to take these two, copy them, paste them in here. And then, as always, at the end of the loop. And then I'm going to select these two and then add the same expression, the loop in plus loop out minus value. And then we move them also so the widest point is on the contact pose. And then we have something like this. Now we just need to fix the hands. Okay, and the hands, they're very easy. So we just go to this one that says front wrist FK. And I'm just going to move it back. I want the hands to sort of lag a bit behind the movement, but we also do that with an offset function. So I'm just putting a keyframe. See what I'm doing here is I've got the front wrist here, so I'm using this one as a reference. That's why it's nice to have all of your parameters that you're working on close together and shying all the layers, so you've got everything together and you can reference them all with other keyframes on other channels or layers. Yeah. Okay, so now I've come here to the other extreme and I'm just going to move him up a bit. And then I go back and then copy and paste. Just make it an easy ease and put the same expression on here. See, it's actually very, if you've got K-bar, it's so easy, it's so nice. You just put your favorite expressions there and it just pastes them for you. So now this hand's looking nice. It's following through this. By moving this keyframe one ahead, it creates that nice action where the hand is sort of dragging behind. Now let's do the same to the other one. Okay, so I'm gonna press R to open up that parameter. Now I'm using this backrest as a reference. And I'll put it there, keyframe there, and then on the other extreme I'll put it there. And then now let's just copy and paste. F9, oh, nice expression, and then just move this up. So now we've got the hands moving, but something looks weird. So now we've got the hands moving very nicely with the character. Okay, let's work a bit more on the body controller. What happens when you walk? It's basically a process of falling over and catching yourself. So how this works is I just put a rotation on the body controller. So I'm just going to press U so we can see all the parameters. So when you go down onto the down pose, you go slightly forwards because you're going to fall over. But this is something subtle. So I'm just going to I've got 5 degrees. I'm going to go with 3, split the difference there. So it's just a slight, almost like you're falling over, and then you catch yourself when you get back to the up, and then you compensate and you move in the other direction. So I'm just going to put that -1. And then we're just going to copy them and then paste them on the other side of the loop cycle. And then we need to, like always, close the loop there. Make it F9. And then for this one, you also want to offset it. So we're going to use our famous expression. Just move them 1. And let's see what that looks like. See, now makes it a bit more believable. So it's got some nice character now. Now we can also do the same with the head, because the head is part of the same. It's like a kinetic chain. It starts from the hips and it moves through the body and then through the head. So the head is also going to follow that same rotating motion. So let's go to R, put a keyframe on the head. Let's reference that one there, the rotation there. And then when we get to the down position, so 1 keyframe after the down position, we're just going to go maybe 2. Let's make it 3. So you can see it clearly. And then up there, we go back to the other side again. So -1. And then when we get to 12, we're just going to copy everything again. And then here at the end, we're just going to paste that keyframe. Press F9, put our expression in. And now we want to offset this. So we've offset this one. We've moved it 1 keyframe ahead from the rotation one. So it creates this kinetic chain. And it looks like this. That's actually looking quite nice. He's got a lot of personality. Now, what else can we do? I'm going to add my famous secret ingredient that I add in a lot of my animations, and that is squash and stretch. And I'm going to put that on a body controller. I'm going to be subtle with this, but you'll see it just adds something nice. Like I said earlier, that whole bouncing ball principle on the body controller on the Y position, the squash and stretch is going to help us with that. So on the first keyframe, we're just going to put the scale at 100%. Then just break it here. Now let's make this 102 on the X. So it's just slightly. And as you know, we always want to conserve volume. So if it's 102, it needs to be 98 on the Y. So now he squashes as he goes down. And then when he goes up here, we're just going to do the opposite, 98 on the X and 102 on the Y. And then when we get here to the contact poses, we're just going to copy the 100% again. So this is just a small touch. It just makes it feel, it just gives it a bit more energy. So let's see what it looks like. So it's very subtle, but it definitely adds something. Now, the only thing I want to do now, before we can call this done, is to just add a bit of secondary animation on the hair as he walks up and down. So his hair bobs up and down. It's just going to make it look nice. So we can go here to the hair top. What I've done is I've unshied the layers because that was part of the ones that was unshied. So you just click this little alien thingy here and it unshies it. Then you can click it there and you can see it here. Then you go into the path and you add a keyframe, and then when you get to the down pose, oh dear, what happened there? Okay, I'm in the wrong comp now. Okay, then when you get on the down pose on frame 3, we can move this down. So you just select it and just move it down. Then when we get up again, you just see on the up pose, we can move it up. If you want to, you can zoom in like this. And if you want to get to a certain area, just press the space bar until you see this little hand, and then you can just scroll up there. So now I'm just going to select this one, bring it up. I actually want it a bit more down here with a, as he goes down. Let me just make it a bit more noticeable. Yes, like that. I think that's good. Then we get to 12. We copy this keyframe. And because that is going to loop that for the second part of the walk cycle, we want that. So then we just go here and say fit up to 100. See what this looks like. Okay, that's working, but we need to offset this as well. I think I'm gonna, because it's hair, the stiffer something is, the smaller the offset's gonna be. And the less stiff it is, if it's something like hair or silk, the longer the offsets it's going to be, the more the offset's going to be. So I need to offset these, but the problem is you can't add this expression when you edit path layers. So what I need to do is I need to go to the end here. I need to add after I've moved it up, I need to go to the end, just put a keyframe there, and then just go to the beginning and copy that keyframe and put it there, paste it there. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, this is looking nice. And then we can also add the other hair here, this one here. What we can maybe do with this one is move it. I'm just going to press Y so I can change the anchor point, because I'm going to rotate it, and then I just put a R keyframe on here, and then as you go down, you rotate it slightly up. So that's usually if you've got an appendage like something like the hair here at the back, or like a hair bun or something, it's a bit counterintuitive, but when you move down, it moves up. and when you move up, it goes down. That's why I've animated that. This is to explain it to you. So now I just move it to the other side. So as it goes down, this moves up, and as it goes up, this moves down. So let's see what that, and then when we get to frame 12, is we're just going to copy that. F9, copy and make the loop, and let's press fit to 100 and see what it looks like. Yeah, I think this is nice. We can maybe offset this as well. Let's do that. So let's select them. Or first, let's put an expression. We can put an expression here because it's not a path. Maybe let's try 2 frames. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's looking nice. And that is it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it, and good luck with your walk cycles. Walk cycles are not the easiest thing to animate, but once you understand your 4 poses, your contact pose, your down pose, your passing pose, and your up pose, once you've memorized that and you know exactly what they look like, it's going to be much easier.